I hit my last breath. Music's everlasting even if past death. Not overacting, music's never past tense. Colliding with the greats, welcome to this crash test.
All right, so we are live for another episode of Bring the Bars podcast. I'm your host, KC, and today we got Skotty G joining us. How you doing, man?
Doing very well, thank you.
Thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to hop on here.
Well, thank you for the invite. It's really appreciated. Really happy for the opportunity. Sorry.
Of course, man. And to kick this off, I usually get the guest. Just introduce yourself to all the listeners out there. Let them know a little bit about the music you create and where they can find you.
All right. So my name's Skotty G. I make a hip hop rap music. It's more, I would say, a bit aggressive kind of hip hop compared to what's out there in the mainstream. It's still underground in a sense. I've always enjoyed that aesthetic from artists like Immortal Technique, Max. More to say, I just can't think of them right now off the top of my head. But that's kind of where my music comes from. I'm not an aggressive person by nature, but rap for me is like an outlet to get out the anger and other emotions that are inside me. You can find my music right now on Spotify under Skotty G with K, not a C. You can also find me on Instagram at Scott GIACOMIN 613. And I'm from Ottawa, Canada as well. So that's about it.
It's rare when I get a fellow Canadian on the show. I think only you and RAP were the two I got on the show. And I'm about 20, 30 minutes away from you. And how would you describe the Ottawa hip hop scene?
The Ottawa hip hop scene, it's hard to I don't want to say anything that makes it sound like, if you know what I mean, kind of. But I find like there's it's a good scene. There's lots of good creatives in the city. I like what a lot of the people are doing in the city, putting on for Ottawa. It's kind of too bad though that Ottawa doesn't really have the funding, because there are a lot of great artists here. And I feel like part of that is, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but Belly, who everyone kind of knows from the Ottawa area, who's now part of EXO, kind of, when he popped off, he kind of just left Ottawa, didn't even say anything about us, kind of just left us behind. So it's kind of like, as well, we're a government city though, too. So it's like, as there's not as much disposable income as a city like Toronto, Montreal, or whatnot, because of that too. So I think because there's not a lot of money behind the music and entertainment industry in Ottawa, that kind of hinders it a little bit. But there's lots of people in the city that are doing big moves, like City Fidelia, Two Time. They're more mainstream, but there's lots of, those are the two biggest ones and Night Lavelle as well, who I can think, those are the three that are the bigger ones. There's also more that are more underground that are dope too, but those are the big ones that right now come to mind for doing big things for Ottawa. In a sense.
And I'm fine with like the Ottawa scene when you go back 10 years ago or whatever, there wasn't really even a scene in Ottawa. If there was, it was small, wasn't well known, and it kind of started building up, even with getting artists to shows like Tech Nine and Royce da 5'9", and they were getting like these artists to go to Ottawa, which was rare, I found before. And it seemed like it was hitting a stride, and then the whole pandemic and shit hit. So I don't know if that like kind of knocked it down a peg, how they're going to pick up after it goes. Like, I don't know how it's looking like after this post-COVID situation.
Yeah, that's true too. I don't really know how that's going to happen, because like I'm a big festival goer, so I usually go to Blues Fest. And it's been years where they've had to cancel Blues Fest, and get our tickets pushed. And that was like, they're starting to bring more hip hop acts towards Blues Fest too, which was dope. And now it's kind of like we missed 2 years in a row, and it could
Yeah.
be big for bringing more hip hop out and getting more local artists possibly on the stages there too.
Yeah, that'd be nice to see it pick up, and maybe it could be a blessing in disguise, because I know with myself and my music, I went into it more head first since it hit, because what else did we have to spend our time on now? So I think it's given a lot of people the opportunity to get out there first a little more, and then once it's over, they'll actually have a little bit of a fan base to book a show or anything like that.
Right.
Yeah. And for you, when did you start creating music, and what inspired you to write and record that first song?
Studio 140 Flow, the first song. I first started like music when I was young, more just as a hobby. Like when I was 15, I started rapping, but then I just kind of, in my own way, went the traditional path, just because I wasn't really sure on what it took, what you needed to do, like behind the scenes, kind of more of the business side. I wasn't sure I was ready for that. So I just took some time off to kind of figure that out. And now I feel kind of a bit more understanding of that side of the stuff too. So recently I just started taking it more seriously. And with that first song, what kind of inspired it was I was listening to a lot of what's his name from Texas, Toby Nigway.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was listening to a lot of his music at that time, and that his beats really I really liked his beats. So that beat I found was very similar to some of his beats. So just kind of some of his stuff in there, kind of some of his beats kind of inspired how I wrote to the song.
Okay. Yeah.
And I also, for that song, it was more just kind of, I wanted to spit bars. I didn't really have a concept, as you could kind of tell from the song. It's more kind of just bars. It's not really a conceptualized.
I miss that in music a lot now, though, when people can just rip it for a few minutes straight and just drop insane bars, metaphors, punchlines. So it was definitely a fun song to listen to.
Yeah, I enjoy just rapping about bars and stuff, like just spitting bars too. I'm not a big guy. I've never really been a big on song. I've never figured out the right way to do like verse, hook, verse type thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'm starting more to learn that as well. I've more started out as a freestyling than actually creating a song, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and it was taking the point what you were saying earlier, how you kind of took a break because you wanted to learn more aspects of the music of the game. It's crazy because today's age, you can't just be an artist anymore. You got to be your own promoter. You got to be your own producer. You got to so it's a lot to learn. It was a smart idea on your part to just be like, hey, I can write, but I need to take some time to learn how to put this all together and find a way to get it out there, because it's just, you can't just be an artist anymore. It's almost impossible, really.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm also back in the fall. I'm also going back to school at Algonquin for the music industry arts program there, just to further increase my knowledge and like skills as well. Because as you are saying, it is true right now, like looking at the artists out there, like bigger ones too, how they're all having to do that. Like I was watching last night on Instagram, like Russ, he had a post where he was talking about like how he doesn't like the industry games nowadays, of how other people are telling you, oh, slow down with this, like do that, do this with your music. He's like, I do this because I want to make music and just want to release music. I love the music.
Yeah.
Like the other stuff, like people are so vain, he was saying, because Instagram, he was saying, took people away from what they hear, and they're more focused now on what they see.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing because I do see that a lot where people are more focused on what the people have rather than what the music is telling them. You know, nowadays it's kind of I do agree with what Bress was saying. It kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. They're more like you said, more focused on the celebrity aspect of it instead of the actual artist and the bars or whatever. It's just the celebrity status is what it seems that it went that way over the past few years. Yeah. And you were saying going back to school, that's a smart thing to do because you got to branch out and learn. See, I was lucky I got a degree in video editing. So that's how I tried to tie in my two favorite aspects of video editing and underground music and try to create this thing, and it worked. So it's learn as much as you can, gain as much knowledge as you can, for sure. And we've been in the talks recently for a show that you came up with the concept of, that's going to be coming out on the BTB channel once everything kind of gets going for it. So let everybody know about what the concept of the show, the idea you had, and what the plans are for it.
Right. So basically the idea I had was I was just talking with Casey one night, and I was thinking of this idea where one of my favorite parts of hip hop was going and listening to like rap battles or watching movies like 8 Mile, where it was just a cappella bars. So what I was thinking of coming up with was an a cappella series, basically, where we would get a couple of artists per show to do some a cappella, just straight a cappella bars. And basically what you would do is just send me the videos, kind of, and we would then choose from the videos and put them together in
series format kind of thing.
Yeah, sorry. That's what I was trying to say, but the words weren't coming. Series format type of thing. I would be hosting it as well as possibly spitting some bars. I haven't really decided yet if I want to spit bars on top of hosting it, but I will be hosting it, but it will be under the BTB channel. It's a collaboration between the two of us.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, man. And how you broke it down to me when you pitched me the idea was how it's nice to break it down to just the bars. Like when somebody's a cappella compared to, some people might not ride a beat well, or some people get so enamored on the beat part of it and not the actual lyrics. And it's breaking it down to the core root of what, hip hop started as, and it's just bars. So I loved how you broke it down. And I was just like, yeah, this is a great idea. And I think a lot of people are going to jump on it.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it too. And going off of what you just said about bars, I find too, like, bars are so important in hip hop. And like, I find right now, because there's a lot of fast food music out there, bars is something that's like missed now. Like, people don't pay attention as much nowadays to people like, you don't, like, even though he's mainstream, people don't, he gets a lot of hate. Royce, Eminem.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, like, I understand it's because of their subject matter and how they present what their thoughts are and stuff like that. But I think their point of views are still important because they do make a lot of sense. And I find that the new music where it's like 2 minute, like I do like the Migos, but their music is, I don't know what the hell they're promoting. I like them. I like their beats more than what they're saying. That's me personally, but like it's with some people, it's hard to say what they're promoting nowadays. And I know, like, even though like Eminem and Royce have harder images and their lyrics are darker and whatnot, they still have a good message overall of what they're trying to promote, which is like love and whatnot. Peace and love kind of is overall like what hip hop and #1 is kind of about, was unity, peace, love, and whatnot, because it was trying to get people off the streets and into a better kind of life.
Yeah.
Like, I think it was like, because it was, I know it was like Africa Bambaataa and DJ Kool Herc kind of at the start, who were really helping with getting the kids off the streets and trying to kind of bring them into the lifestyles of hip hop and whatnot. I'm pretty sure it was them too. I'm not 100% sure on that.
Yeah, DJ Kool Herc, man, what a name drop on that one. That's one that you don't hear a lot. Not a lot of people would know. Is pretty much originator of hip hop, but
And Africa too.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, and what you're saying about Eminem, I totally agree. And Royce da 5'9", and the way I look at it now is that I think the youth just wanted their own sound. Fine, like, you know, every generation with our parents could have been like Kiss and rock music that their parents didn't want to listen to, and then we were listening to rap like Eminem, Royce da 5'9", the Tupacs, Biggies, that like our parents didn't want us listening to. And now I'm looking at it with kids myself, and my nephew who lives with us, and he's on this new wave of music, and I'm like, I don't get it. So I feel like an old head, and it's almost just like they just wanted to find their own sound. And not that I condone it or I agree with the sound, which I don't think a lot of people would, but it's their sound, and some of them can still kill it today in the mainstream. That big example, J. Cole, just he's amazing.
Yeah, and Kanye still, but like he's crazy now. But
yeah, and noticing you slowly climbing up in this game is you sent me the 5 tracks. We'll run for everybody listening on the radio broadcast, but a lot of collaborations. Is this something that and I always love seeing it with the BTB members, but is this something that you did a lot before? Like, were you seeking out collaborations? And if not, if you're doing it now, how do you enjoy collaborating and networking with the other artists compared to doing a solo track?
Before I wasn't like really collaborating that much. I was just working with my homie here in Ottawa, Mickey Fresh, and he kind of was just helping me with the mixing, the mastering, and helping me overall with all that type of stuff. I would go over to his house. And then recently I also have a home studio, but I wasn't really at that time kind of like in the phase where I had it, but I wasn't really using it. Like other things were going on, if that makes sense. So
yeah, okay.
I was that. But then I recently started wanting to reach out to other people, because I realized like it's also good to have it's also good to reach out to like connections as well. They're good. And I wanted to reach out to other people because I found like I wanted other sounds as well, other than just my voice on the tracks. And I knew there were, and as well with BTB, what you're doing, I just like the idea of how you're making an idea of a group where people support each other from within and help each other grow together. Because I believe personally, like myself, that collective growth is way more powerful than singularity and standing on an island. And I think as well for me, like in hip hop or in the scene here or wherever, people don't really like, it's like the support people want to, I find there's a lot of selfishness in hip hop as well, where some people are more focused on what they want than wanting to help the other person and seeing the other person win together.
It's a very selfish game most of the times.
Which is unfortunate, but I think that would be in any genre too. I'm not really sure, but I bet it's the music industry. I bet how it happens in other genres as well, where people are like that. Maybe not country, but like other genres, probably like rock, it probably happened and stuff like that.
The difference with that I find between like hip hop and other genres is a lot of time in hip hop, yeah, you have your producer and stuff, but it's just you. It's not the band. You're not listening to like how good the guitar player is, how good the drummer is, the singer, where you got to like rise up collectively. You have to bet on yourself in hip hop 100% because you're the focus. Even though nowadays producers get a lot of love and they used to before, but most people focus on the lyrics and what you wrote and came up with. So it's based on you, unless you get the groups and stuff like that. But it's a very selfish and it's like just yourself. You're out putting yourself out there.
Yeah, I do find it's very like egotistical, very vain.
Yeah.
Which can be a downfall as well. So for me, like I just do this because I enjoy hip hop. I'm really just I'm not trying to be anything. Like I do it because I love the music. I'm just a normal dude. With going back though to it, I do enjoy collaborating with other artists. Most of the other artists that I did collaborate with was via email, Facebook chat, and video conferences and stuff like that, because a lot of them were from the United States. So shout out to Kronos, Doja Melody,
Big time.
and Joe, and Replay the Bucka. That's the other.
Yeah, all previous guests on this show. Actually, Doja Mello hasn't got in on the show yet, but he will definitely be in the works. It's like it's a random draw, so the name that pops out, it pops out. But he's definitely coming because there's not many more names left. This is episode 33, and we've had a good chunk of guests on this show. But what I'm going to do with you right now is I'm going to hit you with a mid segment I like to do in this show. And this is a segment I call Pick the Bars. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to name two artists off to you. And I want you to pick one over the other and let me know why you choose that artist over the other one.
Sounds good.
So the first one I always start with, and it's a mainstay in this show, is Tupac or Biggie.
I like Biggie more than I like Biggie, but like I can't say I like one more than the other.
Yeah.
Very tough to say because they're both very similar in a sense where Pac was more the conscious artist, where and the more militant, focused on he had something he wanted to prove and stuff like that too. Where Biggie is the same time was conscious, but he was more flashy because of kind of what Diddy was where Diddy in Bad Boy wanted to, every song he wanted it to feel like a movie. So Biggie had to feel like he was playing in a sense, Biggie was like a movie character. It was but he had the message as well where he was talking about what was going on in his neighborhood and how it had to change and stuff like that too. But it was mixed more with a mainstream kind of feel where Pac was way more raw.
Yeah, you put it well put. I never heard it that way. All the questions how P. Diddy had such an impact on making Biggie, like you said, the movie character. I love that analogy. I never heard that one before, but you're absolutely right. When you say it like that, that's exactly hitting it right on the head. So the next one I'm going to go to is a couple more mainstream guys. It's going to be between J. Cole or Joyner Lucas.
J. Cole.
Yeah, I would go with J. Cole all the way too. His latest album too, man, was incredible.
Yeah. Off season was incredible. For me, it's just because of what he's done and how much he manifested for himself. I was listening to Royce the 5'9" say something about J. Cole the other night and how people are hating on him. And it's how can you hate on this guy? He's rapped, now he's playing ball. He's proving to all these young kids that you can have more than one dream and you can actually make those dreams happen if you put your mind to it, And when Royce said that, I was that's deep, but it's so true because J. Cole since day one, like with the warm up or whatever it is.
Mhm.
There's always been basketball on his cover arts if you think about it.
Yeah.
Like even Forest Hill Drives, he's sitting on top of the basketball net on his house or something like that. Like there's always been some type of basketball theme or manifestation that this one day was going to happen for him. And now he's out, even though it's in Africa, it's not the NBA or wherever, but like that's what I think is amazing is like what for him, like it's bigger than the music, you know?
Yeah, he has such a solid mindset. Like set your mind to it, and he goes for it. He completely goes for it. And I don't get the disrespect he's getting either. A lot of artists, I don't get the disrespect, but to each their own opinion, I guess. Now we're gonna go to a couple fast spitters for you. We're gonna go Busta Rhymes or Twista.
I'm a big Twista fan, so I have to go with that.
Yes, same here. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Like Wrist Stay Rocky, that was a big song for me. Charged Up, 7-Day Hustle.
Yeah, that's tough. Anything he does with Tech Nine's incredible too. Anything he does with him.
That song he had, what was the one? I always used to listen to it before I went to football practice. Creep Fast with T-Pain.
Yeah, with T-Pain, yeah. Yeah.
But Busta Rhymes dope too, like, but I don't think he's as fast as Twista. Maybe he is, but I don't think anyone's beaten Twista's like record of 11 syllables per second.
Yeah, he can go, man. And you're busting out like these songs, these names, and it's getting me thinking because you're signed up for the Face Off that's going to be debuting soon for the hip hop trivia game show. And the way you're talking, it's like, all right, he's knowing some stuff on this. So it could be an interesting show. And this is going to test everything from the beginning of hip hop to even mainstream music today. What decade would you say you're most familiar with in hip hop, or like which one have you listened to the most between like the 80s, 90s, 2000s, 10s, and today?
I'm in 90s. Like I'm born in 93. So for me, like when I first got into hip hop, I was a late bloomer. So like I started listening to like Eminem in 03 probably around is when I was started listening to hip hop, because I was a big like before then I was only into like rock music. All I listened to.
I was the same. Yeah, I was the exact same. I was started a little earlier, but I was only rock music when I, in my youth before a teenager, really.
I remember though, like I got my first CD I remember getting was the Eminem Show.
Yeah.
And I remember getting in the car with my mom, putting it in the CD player, and right away, like every song, fuck this, fuck that.
That's all right.
Beep, beep, like every word off the top, like him, he's just swearing, you know?
Yeah.
And my mom's just like, okay, next song. Maybe there'll be one song that he doesn't say anything on. And I remember we get home and my mom's like, give the CD to your cousin. You're never listening to that CD again.
Oh,
it's the worst music ever. So I give it to my cousin. Later on, a few years later, my cousin tells me, I asked my cousin for it back because like my mom's now would let me listen to that type of music. Like let me listen to because then my mom made me buy clean versions of all rap music and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then she told me to ask my cousin for the CD back. My cousin's like, I didn't like it. I broke it in half. Like it was terrible. Like,
oh man.
Like that. And I'm just like, okay. So from there though, like I went back into like hip hop and started listening more to like Biggie, Pop,
Yeah.
Nas. I do remember listening to like Eric B for President and
Yeah.
for President, like that stuff.
Big Daddy Kane. Yeah.
Pharoah Monch.
Yeah.
Mortal Technique was big for me, and like Dance with the Devil was a huge.
That song blew me away the first time I heard that song.
Yeah, it's
I
good.
think it did to everybody.
Yeah. He was big for me too. I like a lot of other people like Sadat X,
Okay, yeah.
Farside, Hieroglyphics.
Okay.
Lots, like I'm a big hip hop head. I just like
Yeah.
music, like also like lots of underground stuff too, like People Under the Stairs.
I don't even think I've heard of People Under the Stairs.
Yeah, they're like a really underground. My friend put me on them when I was in university. They were kind of more like stoner hip hop music more than anything.
Send me a link after the show of something. I'll definitely check it out.
All right, we'll do.
That's the thing I love with hip hop and doing this show is as much as like I have knowledge and like you, like I pretty much started with Eminem as well in 2000. I was born in 90, so in 2000 I started with Eminem, and it made me go back as well, like you said. And then I found out the Tupacs, the Biggies, and then it branched off to like the D12s, and then all this stuff, and it kept going and going. But it's crazy how no matter how much rap songs I listen to, all these artists I know, I think every interview I've done, people have said a name of an artist that I haven't heard of before. If I did, I'd just not off the tip of my tongue. I might hear a song and be like, "Oh yeah, I've heard that before," but I couldn't tell you who it was, kind of thing. So hip hop's a fascinating thing, and it keeps always growing for sure. And you're talking earlier about being like a rock fan, and I also watched your interview that you did on the line with, I think was the channel. So shout out to On the Line With. It was a well done interview. You talk about the rock influence there too. Would you ever consider like a rock rap mix crossover with your music?
Like something like kind of along the lines of like Limp Bizkit style of like rock kind of
Yeah,
crossover.
like Limp Bizkit, Linkin Park, you can go that way, and just even Tech Nine's big on it with collaborating with Slipknot and System of a Down and stuff like that. Would that interest you? Like, would you ever consider that?
Maybe, but maybe I'm open to things. I don't know, because I haven't listened to rock music in, like, I listen more still to the old stuff. Like I never really was into groups like those groups, to be honest. Like I never got into metal. I was more like Triumph.
Okay, yeah.
Triumph, what's it called? Like
Journey and
Journey, like, but I also like people like Rick James,
yeah.
Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, Queen. Like that was kind of more my style of rock, more than like if I needed to get pumped up for something, maybe I'd play like what's that one song by System of a Down, Chop Suey.
Chop Suey, yeah.
If I need to get pumped up for something. But I listen to System of a Down because I appreciate that the guy who's the lead singer was an opera singer before he became like a rock singer. So that for me made me kind of check them out and listen to them. But like closest like metal stuff I would have done was more punk. So like Anti-Flag, Silverstein,
Green Day, maybe if you're into them, but
yeah, I saw Green Day a couple of times. They're a weird bunch.
Yeah, I was definitely influenced by the Alice Coopers, like those kind of artists back for me, especially the ones that were really character driven and just added even horrorcore hip hop, you know, with the ICPs and stuff like that. I'm not huge into them now, but just they created this character and almost made it like they made it a show. It wasn't just about the music, the whole presence they had, the character they created, how they went about doing it. Yeah, that's what always influenced me the most about rock, that I find bleeds a little bit into hip hop a lot too. Like I said, with the ICPs and, you know, a whole bunch of other ones, but
yeah, like Necro
there, yeah.
Bill, and then there's this Big L kind of stepped into there too with the Devil's Child song.
Yeah, yeah, that song was intense. Yeah, Big L's my top artist of all time for me. He's like, he's my goat. He's him and RA the Rugged Man are like my two. Always will be on my list. I don't really believe in the whole goat aspect, because one day you can like something else, and it depends on moods and feelings too. So the whole goat conversation is not there. You can have your top 10 list, but even then, I think yearly my top 10 would change.
I don't even like, people always ask me like, list your top 5, list your top 10. I'm like, I don't really have a top 10 because
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really one thing, like I said on the line with, was my attention span nowadays is a lot shorter than it used to be. So for me, I have song ADD. So I can listen to like a song for like, if it's a 3-minute song, I'll probably listen to 2 minutes. And then I'm like, okay, I need to find a new song to listen to. Like,
Yeah.
And I think nowadays a lot of people too, with the younger generation and whatnot, are kind of like that, where they have the short, where
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah.
aren't as big as they used to be. Like, so why songs are shorter nowadays.
Albums are shorter, songs are shorter. Yeah, absolutely.
Why we get the fast food music too.
Even like collaborations, why they blew up. If you even have a longer song, it's switching up the artist. So it's even that short attention span. Like, okay, I've heard him for his one verse, and then it switches to the next one. So it keeps the attention going longer, which I think collaborations have blown up massively in the last 10 years, I would say, where it's just everybody's collaborating with everybody now. It's rare when you can find a solo song from somebody.
Yeah, that's true. I find solo songs people get bored of too. Sometimes just hearing the same voice for 3 minutes or something like that. So that's why I also think we hear a lot more songs that are like a minute long, as the guy was saying, like a minute long with like interlude at the end, or just some type of talking, or an intro that's really long, and then just like bars or something. Snoop seems to do that really well, where he can talk and then just start spitting bars, and you're like, okay, like I wasn't expecting this to happen at all, but this is dope.
Yeah, it's true. And just yeah, man, the attention span definitely changed. That's why I think like ciphers have gotten bigger and everything, just the switching up of an artist. Like you said, those solo songs, you definitely do get tired of hearing the same person over and over again, and that's why you'll end up switching off. But it's crazy how the game has changed tremendously, because you even think of the older albums, like I was saying, in the 90s and stuff, or even old Eminem, like, you know, Slim Shady LP and all that. That was just all him. That wasn't, you might have had a D12 feature on a track or a Royce da 5'9", but the most part of the album was, when you got Eminem, it was Eminem, or when you got Tupac, it was Tupac. And then you got artists now that are just so known for collaborating. Rick Ross is a big one, where a lot of people hate his solo stuff and they only like him on collab. I'm not a huge fan of him either way, but he's the one example I can think of that, like, a lot of people love him on a collab but don't like his solo work.
That's true. I like him more when he's on a collaboration than when he's on a solo thing. Only song that like really I like that he did by himself was Every Day I'm Hustling.
Yeah.
And then
that was definitely his big song for sure.
And then my favorite like collab he did was the BMF song with Styles P.
Yeah, I don't think I've even heard that one.
For Big Meech. Yeah, it was about Big Meech and all. It went like Big Meech, Larry Hoover, something like.
Yeah, I'd never dig into Rick Ross's catalog too much, but yeah, I'll definitely have to check these out. But
I check those ones out, but I don't really like him overall, because like, how do you go from being a parole officer to being a drug dealer? Like, it just,
yeah,
I don't know, like maybe you were, but doesn't seem to really coincide with my brain. It doesn't make sense. So
yeah, you got to be true to yourself when you make music and hip hop. Like once you start being fake, people are going to catch that right away. You know, that's why certain things that, like you yourself too, you're even mentioning at the beginning of this interview, is you don't try to portray somebody you're not and start rapping about like gang lifestyle and stuff like that just because, you know, it's the thing to do. You're going to rap about what you know, and people feel it, and they hear it in your voice and hear it in your music. And once you get called out or being picked out as fake, you're going to lose your whole fan base pretty quick.
That's true too.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at the time, man. We're running out for the show because we got the time limit on this, but I want to end it. I usually end it with the segment called Name Your Bars, where I would name a bar or two off from a track of yours, and you'd have to tell me which track they were from. But you have a smaller catalog, so I couldn't really do that segment to you because you only had the 5 tracks you sent me. But I want to just end it off with you and just let everybody know what to expect from you in the near future. What do you have? What are you working on? Any dates of releases for singles, anything like that? Like what's coming next from Skotty G?
So right now, next up, the first release I have coming right now on June 9th, I have my song with Jumping Joe the rapper called Go Crazy, dropping very soon. It was just a really good, fun track to come together that we put together. And basically it was just the idea of what, like, well, for my bars on that song, I was thinking of like, if you went crazy, what were some things that you might possibly do? So I was kind of thinking from that point of view when I spat my bars.
You guys did great together on that track, by the way. I had an exclusive listen of it, so yeah, you guys did great.
Thanks. And then I have the other tracks I have the one track with you and Replay. I have a track with Doja, Melody, and another one with him in Kronos. And those ones will be coming probably later or along in June too, as I'm just starting to think of how I'm going to release each one of those ones. And then I have one in the works right now with RAP and one of his homies as well.
Nice.
And then I'm just working on some other stuff for myself right now, but not sure if it's going to go out or whatnot yet.
All right, perfect. Well, man, thank you for coming on. We'll keep in touch because I got some collaboration ideas I want to talk to you about with RAP as well. So it's funny you brought him up for that. I do the collaboration album series, Global Domination. I had the first one out. I am working on 2, so I'm going to be hitting you up. I want the Canadian boys on one track together. So we'll definitely keep in touch about that. But yeah, man, thanks for taking the time to come on and talk to us a little bit.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me on the show. It was really fun, and I really appreciate it.
Of course, man. Anytime, and we will keep in touch.